In this video, we'll look at major chord shapes with the root note on the 5th string. Here are 3 chord charts which show the 3 variations of the major chord with the root note on the 5th string that will be covered in this video. The numbers in the circles indicate the fingers that are to be used to make the chord shapes. The red circles indicate the root note of the chord. The numbers beneath the strings indicate the scale tones that make up these chord forms. To make the first version of the major chord with the root note on the 5th string, first take a look at the C chord, the C chord in the open position, because this first shape is sometimes referred to as the C shape. And that's because it's based on this chord just slid up so that the root note is on a different note. So in a C chord, the root note is on the 5th string on the 3rd fret. That's the note of C. If you wanted to make this chord on D, for example, what you need to do is locate the D, and then you're going to make that with your pinky finger. So to make the chord, you start with your first finger, barring the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings of the 2nd fret. Your 2nd finger on the 2nd string of the next fret. Your 3rd finger on the 4th string of the next fret, and your 4th finger on the 5th string of the next fret. Once you have all these notes together, you strum through the bottom 5 strings. Now you have a D major chord. If you'll notice, these notes right here are a D in the open position. So you're just adding on those top 2 notes of the C shape and getting a chord that's now movable. So if you slide it up, you'll get the root note of wherever your pinky is now. That's D sharp or E flat. If you slide it up again, now you have an E note, E chord, E major chord. Because your 4th finger is on the note of E. Another way you can finger that C chord shape is by moving the bar up on your 1st finger. So in other words, instead of barring just the bottom 3 strings, you can bar the bottom 4 or bottom 5 strings. And what that allows you to do is when you make the chord shape, just strumming the chord will sound the same. But now you can do some hammer-ons and pull-offs within that chord. To make the 2nd version of the major chord with the root on the 5th string, you start by looking at an A chord, because this version is sometimes referred to as the A shape. And that's because an A chord is basically the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings on the 2nd fret, and then an open A note. What you do to make this version is change the fingering of that shape. So basically what you're going to do is utilize your 1st finger to make the root note of the chord. Basically start by finding a root note. So in this case I'll make a C chord. I'll take my 1st finger and place it on the note of C on the 5th string. Then I'm going to take my 3rd finger and bar the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings 2 frets away, just like the A shape here. Now it's going to be slid up to where the C is the root note. I'm basically going to strum through the middle 4 strings. It's also optional to add a bass note of another 5th on top. So you'd add that G on the 6th string. To make the 3rd version of the major chord with the root on the 5th string, you're basically going to take that 2nd version, the A shape, stay on the same root note, and basically change the fingering so that now you're just going to take your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers and pack them in. Rather than do a bar with your 3rd finger, you're going to use your 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers so that you can make room to hit that high note on the 1st string. The goal of that shape is to be able to hit the high note, which is basically another 5th in the chord, a high 5th. So you take your fingers like this, pack them into the fret, and then strum through so that you can get that high note.